I definitely get a sense that a lot of people in the room already know about Gilead. One of our star representatives is Patrick McGreevy, who's here with us today, so I'm sure you all know Patrick. And he tells the story just being Patrick does. So today I'm just going to, my role is to give you a general overview of the agency so people have a sense of some of the services we provide in the community. And then Janelle Sevilla is here. She's the COO of Gilead, and Amy Jensen is the program director for our GAP program, our Gilead apartment program in Middletown. So they'll also speak to those programs. And really today we'd like it to be more of a dialogue, so if you have questions about the mental health landscape, statewide, community-wide, specific questions for Gilead or any kind of other challenges or things you think that the group could benefit by discussing, we'd love to engage in that. So, these folders we put together we put these together to help people get a general sense of what it is we're doing. The first diagram I like to introduce to people, it just gives people a sense geographically where Gilead is in the county. So we have 17 programs, and if you look here, you can see how scattered we are. A lot of people think we're just located in Middletown, but indeed we have places throughout the county. So that gives you a good visual in terms of where we are. The next little simple diagram is a continuum of care, and what that means really is just the different levels of care that we provide to folks in the community. And for people that aren't familiar with clinical terms, I just like to describe it as, we have everything from an outpatient clinic in Middletown that offers. We have services for people that you can go in and you can use your private insurance to receive services. You could go in and have a sliding fee scale, and then a lot of the individuals that we serve through our programs also receive mental health services at that clinic. So we serve about 400 people at that clinic annually. So on that side, the outpatient clinic where you could walk in, I can go there and I can get counseling for depression, and then but not be receiving services from Gilead other than that. But on the other end of the spectrum, we have group homes, which can be 24-hour supervised group homes that have their own clinical staff on site. And for 24 hours, there's somebody there to help somebody manage their mental health condition if that's necessary. So we have a huge spectrum and a lot in between. One other thing I do like to bring up when I'm talking about this, the range of services that we provide, is that we do have a building on DeJohn Street in Middletown. It's our social rehab center, and the clients there, Patrick are you head chef there? Are you head chef at social rehab?
Yeah.
So that's open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, and clients can come there, and we get an average of 50 people there a day, and the clients are the people that run the entire building there. So they put together a newsletter, they manage the food, they put together the meal, they clean up. They're managing, it's a model called the Fountain House model, but basically the clients that attend there are running that.
Where is it?
That's on DeJohn Street. There's only 2 properties on DeJohn Street. It's off of Saybrook Road. So even if you're from Middletown, which I am, you probably not be familiar with that street.
Mm-hmm.
Right, going down, see.
Can other volunteers come and help them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's great. We have an industrial kitchen. It's a great location.
Who would they contact if they wanted to come and help them?
You can contact me, and I have cards here that I brought for you today. So that's a general sense, and I'm sure that some more questions will come up about the range of services that we provide when we continue the conversation. And then one thing that I do also like to bring up, even if individuals that come into our community conversations, we've had quite a few. They're so different depending on where we're going, and it's been such a positive experience so far. But even if you come here, everybody's passionate about a certain number of things, right? And sometimes they say people give maybe to 3 things. If you have the ability to give back, whether it's through volunteer service or financially or whatever way you can, usually you pick maybe 3 things that you really have time and the ability to commit to. But even if you're not, if mental health is not on that list, the top 3, if you look at this diagram, we just really want to make sure that for Gilead, we have programs that save people money. We offer really amazing quality care programs that offer the taxpayers, save the taxpayers a lot of money. So I'm going to have Janelle speak more about a program that has done that in an amazing fashion. But this diagram shows you that we've come up with a new model of care. I'll just talk about it's the one program that we started to do that was about 3 years ago that we did that, called the Women's Program in Middletown, and it helped to take 4 individuals out. Is it 4 or 5? 5 individuals out of the state hospital setting that they were unable over more than 20 years to be able to integrate into the community and live independently. But through this program, we took 5 individuals out. All of them have been successful, and the cost of keeping those individuals in the state system would have been $400,000 a year, and with our model, it's $125,000 a year. So every year, that saves more than $1 million. So just from a dollars and cents perspective, the kind of services that Gilead offers really does save money while offering people a home-like setting with quality clinical care. So that's my general overview. And I did want to, I know that Patrick spoke, and a lot of people know Patrick's story, but I did want to just ask Patrick, how has Gilead helped him? And then have that kind of move the conversation along, and then ask people if they have any questions, and Janelle and Amy if they'd like to offer any other words.
So how has Gilead helped you, Patrick, in your recovery?
Well, I live at the GAP program and on Silver Street. I've been there 6 years, and right now I'm moving on my own. It's time for me to move on my own. Amy wants me to. And right now I'm looking for an apartment. And I've been in different programs and I haven't liked them. I moved into supervised apartments. They're nice, and the staff were nice, and they help you. And the social club's nice. You can hang out there, and they do chores, and the Gilead program's real good. And you take your medication. I'm recovering from mental illness. And sometimes I have problems, but I try to solve it. But my family wants me to move on my own.
I'm sorry, Patrick, you said your family wants you to live on your own?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And hopefully by April or May I'll be out. That's it.
What's unique about our programs, I'm Janelle Siggy, I'm the COO of Gilead, and is that our different levels of care, especially our residential programs, provide 24-hour staffing, 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year, and we're able to really focus on everyone as an individual. We strongly encourage people to set their own goals. We've moved away from traditional case management where your focus is take your meds, go to your appointments. Of course, we encourage and recommend people to follow through on those certain appointments. However, our main goal is to really focus on everyone's individual needs and goals. So most of people's goals, Patrick, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but people want to live in the community, and we support that. And we work really hard to try to find all sorts of different creative supports to make that happen for people. So sometimes there's people that have learned the skills from the staff in the programs, and when they get into their own apartment, we're still there to outreach to them in the community to continue to learn skills and be successful and
I'll
enjoy.
still be in Gap.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Lucy was talking about how Gilead has helped save the state money. I was fortunate enough to be part of opening one of the original supervised apartment programs. What that means is a couple of years ago when the state was looking to close state hospitals, we had partnered with DEMIS to write a proposal saying that we would be willing, if you were to fund us, to house 5 women at this time to reduce the cost and to improve their quality of life. DEMIS accepted our proposal and we created a house that is built to simulate apartment living. These were women that had not been successful in our other levels of care, so group home or apartment living with case management. So we created the home to look like 3 different apartments. And they have their own entranceway. There is staff there 24/7, but they have their own apartment. They have their own bedroom. But we're there if they need added support and skill building. It has been so successful that we've been fortunate enough to receive funding to open up a men's program in Cromwell. We've been fortunate enough because of that success to open up a young adult supervised apartment program in Middletown. That has been successful, and we just recently opened up a supervised apartment program in Portland. It's been open for 3 days. So we're very excited about that, and the model has been amazing. If you think about it, your own bedroom, your own kitchen, your own living room, possibly with a housemate, it gives people that feeling of success and independence, and we're very, very, very pleased to have that.
Is there, excuse me, like a communal space in those houses where people?
In the women's program here in Middletown, there is not a communal space. We had chosen not to do a communal space in that house, just given the individuals that live there. Where they tend to come together is on the front porch. They invite each other into their apartments. We're trying to teach them, what would it look like if you wanted to invite one of your girlfriends over? What would it look like if you wanted to invite family and friends over? You would invite them into your apartment or your home. So that's what we're trying to create. We want to create real life and move away from the common area group environment.
And how long has the women's house been open? Because that's your oldest one.
Yes, since 2010.
And the same 5 women have been there for 4 years then?
Yes.
Is it 5 women?
Yes.
So it's successful.
It's successful.
It's not a trial. It's not where
No.
they're there and they're good.
And the unique piece of this program is that if any of these women, or even in the men's program, if they experience difficulty and need to go back into the hospital for a period of time, that residence remains their residence. Which is really different from other different levels of care. There's no timeline on their admission or discharge, because we all understand through the service system that this is the most appropriate level of care for them. We'll continue to skill build with the hopes that they might be able to move out even more independently, but it's their home.
There's a really nice, if you have access to the internet, and on Gilead's website, there's a really nice video that I think 3 of the women participated, felt comfortable participating in. That's a really nice video, and it gives you a sense of how the women are doing and feeling, and you see the property, and it's, I'd recommend, you go check that out, because it's a really nice thing. If you're interested in seeing more about it, it's a really neat thing.
Is there a staff person that lives in that group of apartments as well, or who just comes there?
They don't live there. We just, they work on shifts, 8-hour shifts, so people change.
Amy, did you just want to talk a little bit about the GAP program?
So GAP is a little bit different. It stands for the Gilead Apartment Program. It's kind of a hybrid We have a residential supervised living for 6 individuals, and then we have 11 individuals who live in the community. And we provide 24-hour services and case management, whether you live in the house or in the community. So we're really helping people to integrate in their own apartments. We are in people's apartments every day, working with them on skills, helping them to learn, achieve their goals. So it's a very intense level of care. And as Patrick was saying, he lives in the house. The next step for him is to move into the community with the same services that he currently has, just out of the 24-hour staff program. And it's a really exciting change for Patrick. And it's a nice way for folks to, because we're not a boarding home or a group home, we just do supported housing. And so the next step is into your own apartment. So we've been practicing with people in the house and then moving into the community.
And the people that aren't in the community come back to the house for support, right?
Yep.
During the day.
They can. We have functions there and groups and gatherings.
I mean, at this point, I'd love to just have people be able to ask anything that's, any type of question that's on your mind regarding Gilead, or there's been so much conversation lately about mental health in the state nationwide. And I was lucky enough to attend the Connecticut Forum, had a gathering on mental health on Friday night, and there were 3,000 people. The Bushnell was, there weren't maybe 10 empty seats, and so that was really great to see that there were that many people interested in having that conversation. And so I just know that there was so many things that were brought up, and we're here also to answer your questions to the best of our ability, and if we can't, we'll definitely try to find out. Jenny?
One of the things that was said on Friday night by Andrew Solomon, who's written a lot about depression, and who also wrote Far From the Tree, that big book about families with individuals who would be classified as different. He said, he said he's a gay man, and he talked about coming out as a gay man, but he said mental illness needs to come out of the closet, and that it needs to be viewed as something in our culture that happens and happens to lots and lots of people, and needs to be talked about and faced and accepted as part of the need for energy and time.
I was wondering about the history of Gilead. When did it start and how?
Gilead was started in 1968, and it was actually founded by 2 graduate students at Wesleyan. There was a time when, with CBH in Middletown and our long history with CBH, people were being discharged from the state mental health facility, and just similar to what happens in the Department of Corrections now, just walk out the door with no supports, nowhere to live. A lot of people were just resulting in homelessness. And so there were relationships formed with these Wesleyan students, and they basically, it was on High Street is our first property, G1, and that's where they started to invite people in and actually take on supervising individuals to help them work with their mental illness to manage, because they just thought it was unacceptable that people were there, and they had developed friendships, and it's really about, that's why we're here today. It's really relationships with people and being able to understand and help people that are in need of support.
Is the brick building next to this church the Gilead building?
No.
Just wondering.
Yeah.
That's the connection.
Oh, that's the connection is over here.
Correct. Yeah.
You could say that 50 people on average come in every day. What do they come in for? Like, what's an outpatient service?
Oh, so there's 2 different things, and I'm going to, for the social rehab, I'd love to have Patrick answer that because he's there on a regular day. So there's 2 different things I was talking about, just to be clear. One is we have an outpatient clinic, and that's located at 230 Main Street Extension. And there we have 3 therapists that work with people, both that are receiving our services through the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, but in addition, people in the community that might not be linked to Gilead in any other way come also to that clinic and receive services just as you would go into any mental health outpatient service. But the social rehab center, where people, an average of 50 people come a day, Patrick, you want to give a good sense of what happens there during the day and
during the day we have morning meeting, and on the board they do chores and what to day's gonna look like what trips we're gonna do, and what time, what's for lunch, and the lunch menu and that day, and you get meal tickets and coffee tickets, and you serve coffee for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and they have a coffee maker, but he don't know how to make coffee as good as me. And there's a cook there named Eric. He's not a good cook as me.
Don't tell them.
And then in the afternoon at 1 o'clock, they usually go on a trip to wherever you guys like to go. And at 2 o'clock, they bring me home in the van. So, and that's it. Each day.
So for the outpatient clinic and the social club, we're always accepting referrals. So you could pick up the phone and call the outpatient
Oh
clinic.
yeah, you could call them at 8 o'clock in the morning. Pick up.
And they'll pick people up.
Yeah, in the van.
I'm not, I just want to make sure, did we answer your question? I feel so maybe that we didn't.
No, I think so.
Okay.
You can actually get appointments for mental health treatment as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
Did you say that?
Yeah, and that's what I was
People
starting
can come
to
in
say.
for medication consults and medication following, and for working on plans for how they'll work with Gilead and that sort of thing.
Right.
It's reviewed periodically, and
What's different for the outpatient clinic is that you can self-refer. You can pick up the phone and call and talk to one of our intake individuals and let them know what you're interested in, whether it be therapy, whether it be medication management, whether you want to meet with a psychiatrist. For our residential programs, because we're a private nonprofit, our lead mental health authority, River Valley Services, intake into services needs to begin through River Valley. River Valley will then contact us after intake and discuss who they have looking for services, and we'll discuss, what residential might fit for that individual. So that's the difference. You can call for outpatient clinic services. Residential, it needs to go through River Valley Services. I get several calls a day from families and individuals looking for residential care for their loved ones. So I usually have to go through the dialogue of referring them to River Valley. But we work very closely and collaboratively with them.
With what you just said, if somebody calls outpatient service, how do things work financially? I mean, like, let's just say somebody doesn't have insurance for whatever reason. Is some of the stuff provided free of charge?
It depends on, every individual. We do have a sliding scale. We could work with individuals through the clinic. The therapist could assist in looking into insurance information and ways to link people up to resources.
A lot of the fundraising that we do for Gilead helps to subsidize services at the outpatient clinic. So to the best of our ability, we try to look into grants and some of the people that you're, community foundations.
So financial situations should restrict somebody from calling.
Correct. Definitely, right. And just in terms of what Janelle was explaining, I mean, I don't know, how many people here know what River Valley Services is? Does anybody know? Well, Darcy or Jenny, do you want to explain to folks what River Valley Services is?
Go ahead. Okay. Well, but just one thing. The way the funding for mental health services goes in Connecticut, there are designated organizations in certain regions that get the funding to do the work. So that's why there's this teaming up of groups that have to go through River Valley Services sometimes. But go ahead.
Well, River Valley is actually one of the places that I never worked. Surprisingly, I worked everywhere else. But they basically provide outpatient services and also some crisis housing for individuals in need. They have psychiatric nurses, they have clinicians, therapists. Function very similarly to you guys, actually, in terms of what they can provide. I'm not sure at this point what the difference is between you and RVS.
That's a great question, Janelle. A good question for Janelle or Amy. Amy has.
I was gonna say, as we know, everybody, there's a spectrum of what people need. And so if we're thinking about River Valley and the services they offer, those are for folks who might have less intense needs. Gilead has the residential and the more intensive services for folks who need more to be successful in the community.
So they're more like an ACT team then?
Even less than an ACT team.
Even less than an ACT team?
Yeah, now they're kind of doing traditional case management, meet with your case manager once a week and your psychiatrist, a couple of times a month, where we're, seeing people 3-4 times daily, depending on what people's needs are.
They also have a respite center for people who are experiencing a crisis that's not as deep as needing hospitalization, but where they can be safe for a period of time, sometimes a very long period of time, to prevent hospitalization actually, and get some services and some help and meals and companionship and their medication managed and that sort of thing. When they have a crisis that doesn't require hospitalization but requires some safety and some help. And they have a wellness center as well, where people can go during the day and meet up with other people and have some groups and learn some skills. They teach people some computer skills and things like that.
That's in Chester?
No, it's up on one corner of CBH. If you go out on Silver Street, you'll see a sign. It's the main office on the right, the wellness center's on the left, the respite and the doctors and so forth are in the center on the right.
So just from a financial perspective, River Valley Services is a state organization, so there's state employees that work at River Valley Services. River Valley Services is the fiduciary responsibility, has a fiduciary responsibility in our geographic area. So they actually are funneling money to Gilead, which is a private nonprofit. So that's a big distinction in terms of kind of understanding the system. And it's a very difficult system to understand. And I'm 8 years in and I still don't understand it. So it's hard to, it is really hard to wrap your head around it. And when we go to the conversations, people are really confused in the community about how to access services and what the distinction is between the different services that exist in our community. Another component I'd like Janelle to respond to is the mobile crisis, because that's a very important service that RVS offers, and it's a very complicated service. So if you could kind of touch on that.
So mobile crisis is housed at River Valley Services on the Connecticut Valley Hospital campus. We work collaboratively with them when there are times that people are having difficulty managing their symptoms. So we will call them. They will come out to our programs or a client's apartment, and a doctor and a social worker will meet with the individual to assess where they're at, if they're at danger to themselves or others. What's unique about mobile crisis is that it's available to all of us in the community. That if any of our family members or friends or loved ones is having a difficult time or something just doesn't seem right, they are available to all of us, and you can call them and they will come out for your assistance.
Yeah. So they receive funding for that. That is their
Funding for similar programs in other states. I'm particularly interested in California and New York State, where I have friends who need help.
Within every state, the funding is very different. In Connecticut is one of the few states that still has a very large state-funded mental health system. I mean, the infrastructure, the services. Janelle, Massachusetts has a real model in the country in terms of offering mental health services. And they're a lot different. And the struggle is, and the conversations have been around having a huge state infrastructure to offer mental health services. What are the benefits? What are the challenges? And so it's not similar from state to state. It's very different.
It was how we get with impact.
How do you get with impact?
Yeah.
Impact doesn't exist anymore. What Bobby's talking about is
How we get with rally? How we get member rally? How we get member rally? Last time I called rally, they said they would not talk to me. They would not talk to me. They said not talk to the phone. How we get our case with rally? Last time I called rally, they said they would not talk to me.
we'll have to work with you to give you the number so you can call them and.
I want a social. I said I want something. They said they said if you talk to you, they will not talk to the phone. I want to get social rally and like a social rally and a nurse.
We'll have to give you the number after this so you can try to call.
Yeah. I want to get a nurse so a nurse can come out and talk to me.
Again, we'll have to call and see what services.
I've been feeling crummy, you know. Last Friday I act. They called Christ last Friday. 2 Middletown police came and the ambulance came. I was in a psych ward in Middlesex. I flipped out.
Was it helpful for you in any way to talk to Mobile Crisis?
Yeah, they said I got rid of it. Wait a minute.
Just also in terms of what Bobby's talking about, we've actually done.
I flipped out last Friday, and the guy there, I flipped out.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, you okay?
Yeah, I flipped out last Friday.
Do you feel better?
Well, I'm not feeling better. That means feel better. You flipped out.
So you need to
I'm worried about that. I'm not that picture. I'm worried about that.
Okay.
I'm worried about that. I'm really worried about that.
You need to talk to someone about this.
I need to talk about it. I'm really worried about that.
Okay.
So we'll give you the number.
Yeah. Do you want me to write it
Yeah,
down?
right now. I'm really worried about that. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, when Janelle asked you about River Valley Services, the way they responded, did it work well?
Yeah, I'm really worried. I'm worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, definitely. One of the things that recently with Gilead, what we've done is done a better job reaching out to the Middletown Police Department because there's a lot of ways in which we need to collaborate.
Who did I talk to?
And so we have actually Gary Wallace, who just became one of the captains at the police department, has a long history with Middletown, working in the downtown, and has really positive relationships with a lot of the residents. He's on our board, and he's been incredibly helpful just in the last 6 months, looking at some of the ways that we can do a better job working together to serve the people like Bobby that we work with. Yeah, it's been great.
Because it hasn't always been great.
No, and it's a continual, ongoing, it's going to take a lot of work, but we did a conversation like this in front of 25 people in the lieutenant position and above, and they had some just really very insightful questions, and so it's a lot of work to continue to do, but it's very exciting.
We've been talking about the individual. How do you offer any services for the families of the individuals who, are caught in the middle?
Yes, we do. We offer a family support group at least twice a month in the Middletown area through our outpatient clinic. And we also offer a family support group down on our shoreline because we have Gilead programs that are down in Clinton, Chester, and Old Saybrook. We probably could advertise that a little bit more effectively, but we do have clinicians, nurses, program directors that have experience running family support groups, and it's been very helpful. We've had a successful turnout because you're right. There's a lot of other dynamics that go on when you're living with a loved one who has a significant mental illness.
We actually too have our board chair that's she's been our board chair I think a year now, is a parent of a gentleman that we serve. I think he's 25-ish, and she's a huge advocate for figuring out additional ways that Gilead can work with the families because for her, Gilead has changed her life. She now has, her son is in this place where he actually can live independently. They've done a lot of work with Gilead. She's an amazing advocate. But she's also taught us a lot about, other ways that we can be doing that and thinking about that. So it's a great question.
The other service that's utilized by both Gilead and River Valley is the local visiting nurse agencies. Middlesex Hospital Home Care has a psychiatric nurse department, and everybody works collaboratively. They're brought in usually when the people with behavioral health conditions also have fairly complicated and complex medical issues, which most do. And everybody kind of works together in that way, and I think that's a great relationship too.
I just want to thank you for everything that you do to educate all of us about mental health and about what the needs are in the community and what's being done. Quite a few years ago, there was a horrible incident with a CBH patient who was out on the pass on Main Street where there was a murder during a sidewalk sale. And I think from that point on, not that it wasn't already problematic, but there was a groundswell of feeling that those people up there on the hill were dangerous and unsafe, and we were unsafe, and all of that kind of contagion happened. And I think what's happened since, and fabulously in the last maybe 5 or 10 years, is that the whole aspect of mental health has been, we've gotten much better education, we've had conversation, and all of that contagion has changed so that people are viewed very differently, which I think is wonderful. And I thank you so much for what you're doing for that.
Does anybody have any other questions? We are here not only to let you know about what Gilead does, and but also want to know about how, we know that this church, I don't know, I hear so much about the wonderful work that you do within the church, and we are looking for ways to partner with individuals and groups like this in terms of ways that we might be able to better serve the people that we serve. And we don't have all the answers. We don't have, we're hoping that you can help us with some creative ways to maybe do that, or even if it's not within this particular congregation, but if you have ways that you think that we might be able to improve what we do or communicate with the community in a better way, we'd really like to hear those ideas. And it doesn't have to be right this minute, but it'd be great to hear some things this minute. But also just, we have our cards here, because it is the challenge becomes trying to help people like Patrick just integrate into the community, and it is challenging. But I know there's people out there with some probably fabulous ideas on ways to do that. What are some of the things that the church is doing now that not even related to mental health, that you can help us understand some of the things that you're doing and what you're passionate about as a congregation?
I think we're kind of at a point where we're trying to decide which things we want to be really passionate about.
Can you adopt us? Would you mind?
We've got to come every Sunday, yeah.
There's always been a relationship with CBA.
Yeah. Right.
People volunteering and going out and working with CBA folks. It's one thing.
And with CJTS, there's been an ongoing relationship of working with one unit, doing a particular night every month or so.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
We do seasonal things at Christmas time particularly, which I had a thought actually about Gilead and Christmas, because Gilead, after their big fundraiser in the fall, always does a collection of items for gifts for Gilead folks. And we could maybe participate in that in some meeting.
That'd be great.
I think that would be something for you to contact us about at that point.
Just in terms of thinking about it, and really I'm not expecting answers right now, but I think, for us, and I'd love to hear what Janelle and Patrick and Amy think, but ways to get people out into the community where they're really experiencing the things that all of us have the luxury of experiencing. And I found it challenging to figure out how to do that in a meaningful way. And I believe that it really just takes people that are passionate and have the desire to get out there and develop relationships with people. And sometimes it can be a little frightening if you're not comfortable or familiar, but if there are ways that you can help us think of that creatively, we'd really love to hear about it. It's been a challenge for us.
it was inspiring to me to hear about the social club and to know that people could go volunteer there. I'm thinking I might like to come and volunteer there once in a while. And if anybody else wants to talk to me about that, and we can talk to these folks about it, talk to me. I think it would be a really good thing to do.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm sorry, you had your hand up.
I happen to be very familiar with River Valley. I've been associated with them since '98. As a matter of fact, my case manager, Dan Thomas, just retired. He was with him 33 years. I don't know much about Gilead.
Right.
You folks I take are from Gilead?
Correct, yeah.
Not River Valley.
Right.
Because, I still am affiliated with River Valley.
Right.
I go there for, because I have TBI, traumatic brain injury, from an accident I had in '96 where I fell on my head from the second floor. And I deal with them. They changed my caseworker, or you maybe you don't know. But they changed caseworkers, and I was really accustomed to Dan Thomas. I mean, I knew this man, like a family member for almost like 15, 16 years. I even showed him my newborn son at the time. My newborn son's 9 years old today. So, talking, But I go there now. I go there once a month. I see Dr. Leaders. That's for my checkup from the neck up once a month. I guess with this TBI, you really have super difficult time sleeping. And I've tried about everything I think that's on the market to
Dr. Valley.
The problem. But, they're just, River Valley, from my point of view and from what I know, and, I know you're affiliated with them in one way or another. I know you're all webbed together here. To me, it's done wonders in my life. They've been very advantageous in a lot of situations in my life. And, Dan Thomas, man, I love the man. He's good people. And, it was really a blow to me, like back in the Rowland era, when Governor Rowland put the kibosh on River Valley and everything. He had the demonstration on Main Street. I was there, with you folks, And I'm glad they got that resolved and everything's back on track, And I don't know nothing about Gilead. I put that folder aside. That is kind of informs you about Gilead?
Right. Yes, definitely. It has a newsletter and a brochure and some facts about mental health in general and some contact information.
Oh, no, maybe I will take it with me. I'm going to leave it off to the side. I think I'm all covered,
So Lucy, in terms of community collaboration, you're joining us on our first Sunday of Lent. And Lent, what we're participating in as a discipline for the next 6 weeks until Easter on April 20th, is each Sunday we're looking at a different way that there is suffering in our community or in the world. And as a Lenten discipline, thinking about how we can respond to this and how we can give these voices of suffering air, light, witness. And so I encourage all of us to have a continued question of how we can collaborate. And a little pitch about our Lent discipline. Every Wednesday at 6:30, we will gather in this room and prayerfully think about and talk about what we have heard on Sunday in the worship service and in the second hour. And I encourage you to think about what ways First Church could collaborate with Gilead, where there are holes of services in the community that we wish we could respond to and they wish they could respond to, and that maybe we could do something together. So there's a lot of opportunity for creative collaboration. And so I've been here for 10 or 11 months now, and I've noticed that First Church has a really bold witness to mental illness. And this is something that I think that we want to build upon and continue to do. It's just how exactly we do that most powerfully. So if you have ideas for us as well, we'd welcome.
I would just say, I mean, taking Patrick as an example, outside of this setting, how you all know Patrick, but I use Patrick as an example almost everywhere. But I just, when we started, and Ginny's been to the cuisine, it's a big fundraiser we have, but the first cuisine we had, Patrick was there, and he was very, I asked him if he would speak, and he said, yeah, and he did a lot of preparation around it, and he was very nervous, and I'll never forget, we were sitting, it was at the inn at Middletown, and we were there together, and he said, Lucy, I'm just so nervous. I said, is there anything that we can do? And he said, well, I really want a cigarette before I speak. And I said, well, go have a cigarette. He said, I quit today. I said, you quit today? He was so prepared, and he went in, he did his thing. He was amazing, and there was a man that was at this, he didn't know anything about Gilead, but he was at